Hello everyone and welcome back to Meeple Leaf Reviews. It is almost halfway through the year and we are doing our top 10 games of 2016.
That's right.
So for me, let's just start this off a little bit here. For me, I thought 2016 was a fantastic year.
Right.
I added a lot of games to my collection that I think will be staying in my collection for a very long time.
That's right.
You had a little bit of a different experience, I think, with 2016.
Yeah, I know. For me, 2016 was a very poor year. I would say I only have 2 games that I've rated an 8 or higher of the games that I've played this year. And you're probably saying, oh, wow, like you probably haven't played very many games. I've played about 45, I think. Something like that, around 40 to 45 games.
And we'll put a list of all the games we've each played on this video, so you can kind of see what we're using that we're pulling our list from.
Exactly, and those are fairly high-ranked games as well. They just didn't work for me, and it wasn't that they were all horrible. They just were kind of average games for me.
Yeah, so I still enjoy playing games. Jacob does not.
Why would I like playing games?
Well, last year we did a top 5.
That's right.
And we had a very similar list, crossover.
Sure.
Wise. So this year, I was like, okay, there's so many games that I wanted to put on. Let's do a top 10.
Right.
So I have a top 10 list where all these games I've ranked an 8 or higher.
Right.
Whereas you have a top 2.
That's right. I have a top 2, so I'm going to be doing my 1 and 2, and then I'm going to do 8 honorable mentions. And so how I'm doing this is I'm kind of envisioning these 8 as being game number 11 through 18.
Okay.
Right? So they didn't make the top 10. These are 8 games just before the top 10.
Yeah, but there's not 10 games in your top 10.
No, because there are still 8 games that I haven't played this year that I know are better than those games.
Right. Okay.
I haven't played them, but there has to be games better than these games. That's how I'm looking at it.
So yeah, let's jump right into our list.
Let's do it.
Okay, number 10 for me is Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition.
Okay.
I hadn't played the original. I got a chance to play this one. The thing I like about this is the app integration, the way that the game kind of runs itself, and it feels like I'm exploring the scenario. Sure. I'm exploring what's behind this locked door, and I go in, and then usually it's a bad thing that happens.
Yeah.
What's in this room? I go in, and usually it's a bad thing that happens. So I really get the theme comes through. I get the sense of exploration, kind of like a puzzle aspect. It's just a good experience to sit down and play, and that's why it made my list.
Perfect. That was an enjoyable game. I've only played it one time, and I had fun. I feel like it's a game that you really have to immerse yourself in the theme, and you really have to read those descriptive paragraphs, do voices, and just kind of engage everyone around the table. The one problem that I had with our first game is that I felt like we were just kind of rushing those descriptive sentences, and it was pulling me out of the theme where I wanted to be immersed, and that's probably my only issue, is I'd want to play it in a very thematic kind of setting where everyone is focused on that more than the gameplay.
All right, sit down, people. You're going to immerse yourself in this theme. I don't care if you get up from this table to do anything else. But this theme, it's over.
Maybe it has to be at Halloween or something, and everyone's dressed up, and we're all having fun doing voices and drinking. Maybe.
So you can see how I enjoy games because I put less restrictions on how they need to be played.
Sure.
So my number 10, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition.
Right on.
So your 8th honorable mention.
My 8th honorable mention. So this is basically number 18 of my top 20 kind of thing. So this is a game that is very highly hyped, and it's a game that we've kind of played a lot of recently, and that is Terraforming Mars.
Okay.
I recognize Terraforming Mars as having some very good qualities, some very interesting features, but I feel like the game is extremely linear, and I've found that with multiple plays, I get less and less interested in this game. But I can still recognize that there are some good mechanisms and and interactions with players that I respect the game.
Right, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think the game is linear. But I do feel that some of the resources are linear.
Okay.
Like, so plants can be used for one thing. Titanium is used for only one thing. Steel is only used for any one thing.
Yep.
So resources are linear, but each game that I play, I force myself to do something different, so the game doesn't feel linear and like I'm always doing the same thing to me.
I just feel like it's every player is, whether you're doing raising the oxygen or someone else is raising the oxygen, that is a point that is always happening. So everyone is focusing on this one goal that just kind of funnels down to this end game.
Right.
And yeah, so for me, I consider that linear.
So that's your eighth honorable mention?
Eighth honorable mention.
Terraforming Mars.
Terraforming Mars.
Okay, moving on to my number 9. This is a game that has a theme that I really enjoy. I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Okay.
I think I even like the Star Wars theme more than I like the movies, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that.
So this game is Star Wars Rebellion.
Right.
This gives me the feeling like I am actually in that universe or in that galaxy,
Sure.
as it were. The Empire, I feel so powerful, but I just don't know where to bring my force of arms to bear. You know, there's just this one little hidden rebel base, but where is it? I have all these. I have a Death Star. I have Imperial Star Destroyers, but I just don't know where to go.
Right.
And then the rebel player, I feel like I'm hiding. I'll just misdirect. I'll choose my battles wisely, in trying to gain influence with the people. The theme just pours and oozes out while I'm playing this game. I really enjoy it.
Right.
And that is my number 9, Star Wars Rebellion.
Very cool. The thing I would say about this is I agree with you that theme is kind of oozing out, and that what you were mentioning, where the Empire, you feel so powerful but powerless at the same time because you can't find what you're looking for, and if you could just find it, you would just obliterate it.
Yeah.
I totally get that, and that's very cool. The one thing that I didn't like about this game and didn't enjoy was the length of time, and I felt like the game was very repetitious. You were just doing the same one action over and over again. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun. I also really hated the combat system. No fun for me.
See, I wasn't a huge fan of the combat system, but I found after multiple plays, this game isn't about combat. I only fight like 3 or 4 times in the entirety of the game, and I don't really feel like I'm just taking the same action over and over again.
Okay.
You need to be clever, like especially as the Empire, you're playing a deduction game.
Sure.
If I take this action in this star system, then that's going to eliminate these 2. I don't have to worry about going over there. I'm going to go here in this one system. I'm going to do this. That's going to give me information here and there. So I'm playing a deduction game, whereas the other player is just trying to misdirect that deduction.
Right.
I even played with one player where he kept glancing at one corner of the board. And I'm like, oh, he's looking over at his base, but he was doing that to fool me up.
That's
and
awesome.
I thought I was catching some hidden information that he was giving a tell, but it turned out he was just using that against me by glancing over at one corner of the board.
Nice.
So,
very cool.
Number 9, Star Wars Rebellion.
Awesome. All right, my 7th mention is another very big game, and this is Scythe. Scythe was a game, again, much like Terraforming Mars. I can appreciate what the game was doing. I just did not have fun playing it myself, and I think it was because of the feature that this is a racing game. You're racing to this end goal, and that if you're not the one that finishes the game, if someone else finishes it before you're ready, you feel like you didn't play a complete game.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, but I'm not done yet. I want to do this. I want to do that. I feel like there's some awesome things happening. I just didn't really enjoy my plays. So I can recognize that, but I can't put it on my list.
The one thing to counteract that is just to be the person who always ends the game.
Yeah, right?
Which I've always done. I kind of get that feeling, like that would suck. It's like I have all these big plans, I'm not going to get to do them, but I always get to end the game, so I haven't got a chance to feel that.
One day, maybe, Jeffrey.
One day. So my number 8 is Adrenaline. This is a game that is kind of was touted as a first-person shooter Euro game. I think it's more of like a third-person shooter because you don't actually like go eye level with the different
right.
different miniatures.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about this game is I really do feel like I'm running around shooting other people. Those weapon cards make the game the game. Like if everyone had the same weapon, it would just be boring and uninteresting. But it's like, oh, I have this heat seeker. I can hit you no matter where you are. I have this thing that just catches the whole room on fire and I deal damage to everyone in that room. Like all those unique weapons just make the game what it is. And the other thing about this is that there's no downside to dying.
Right.
It's true. Really, you just respawn, you keep all your resources, you keep all your weapons, and you just go around and you're shooting again. In fact, you probably actually want to get damage because the more damage you get, the kind of little bit better actions you get to take.
Right.
So it's kind of gives me that feeling of combat, but without all the downsides of, being upset that people are shooting me.
Right. So Adrenaline for me, I felt like it was just an average game. The one thing that I really disliked about it the most was probably the fact that it didn't correlate with its theme very well in my mind. Instead of like a first-person shooter, you're trying to get kills. In this game, you're just trying to get hits. You're trying to ting everyone and be like, okay, I hit you once, now I hit you once, now I hit you once. And then once someone's almost dead, then I'll go for that kill shot because that's an extra point.
Right.
It became a point game again for me. It's not a first-person shooter of running around and killing people, but I just need to ping everyone one time. That took me out of it.
Right. Well, and I think that because you've only played this game once.
Yeah, just one time. Yeah.
You don't just want to ping everyone once. Well, you want to be the draw first blood.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you want to have a majority because it's an area majority for damage on people. So if you're just pinging people once, you're not going to get a whole lot of points.
Right.
But you want to kind of bring them down, and if you can get that kill shot, then it's extra bonus.
Yeah.
Which is I liked how it gave me that feeling of combat without feeling bad about hurting other people.
Sure.
Because especially like in some games, the mechanism is like, oh, you're beating on one person all the time. I could
totally ruin that player.
I could totally ruin that player. You can't do that. Like even if you gang up on one person, it doesn't do anything to them. So it kind of keeps the play lighthearted in a way.
Cool.
So that was my number 8, Adrenaline.
Awesome. My number 6 honorable mention is another big hyped game, one that I own, and that is Mechs vs. Minions.
Right.
And this game, the production quality of the game is fantastic. The gameplay is fine. It's entertaining, but with multiple plays, I've gone through, I think, 7 of the scenarios now, and they are very samey. You're just doing the same repetitious thing over and over and over. And I think the game was overhyped as this grandiose thing, but you're just doing the same game in multiple situations. And so it's fun. The production's awesome, but it's not worth all the hype.
Yeah, I thought the game was okay. Again, I enjoyed my first play a lot more than subsequent plays because again, I felt the same way as you. There isn't a whole lot of variety. Like if there were maybe more of those cards that you drafted that changed up, maybe you start off with less and then more and more get added. It feels like, oh, now I have this ability or that. I just kind of felt it was kind of the same no matter what the scenario was doing.
Right. So that was my number 6 honorable mention, Mechs vs. Minions.
All right. My number 7 is Terraforming Mars. Okay. You had mentioned this as your 8th honorable mention?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
It's an engine building game set in a theme that I really enjoy. I love the idea of terraforming a planet. I love the fact that you can kind of see the planet get a little bit more blue-green as the game goes by. The engine building, like I said, you can do different things, but some of the resources are maybe a little bit too linear for me. I still do enjoy the game, and I enjoy the decisions that I have to make in the game. So that's why it's on my list at number 7.
Awesome. My number 5 honorable mention is Arkham Horror: The Living Card Game. And I enjoyed my first couple plays of this. I thought it was interesting, but my biggest problem, again, with this game was the fact that there was this feature of you get to build your own custom deck, except you can't do that with the core game.
Right.
Like, so you buy this game, but you can't do it in the actual game. You need to like buy extra content if you want to do that. That kind of it drew some bad blood for me.
Right.
And so I didn't like that feature. But as we played through the game, it was still entertaining. It was still fun. There was this story that you're following, and I liked the horror kind of theme. I haven't delved too deep into all the Arkham Horror stuff. This was kind of like one of my first feature games of that. And so I liked that story element of it. Enjoyable, but I think this is a game that could even climb higher in the ranks as I play more content of the game.
So I'm not going to say much about that because my number 6 is Arkham Horror.
There you go.
The card game. You know, I played a few LCGs before. Well, I played Android Netrunner, so I know what to expect. You know, the core game is just the jumping off point.
Sure.
And then more and more is going to get added. So I kind of just looked at, well, what's the gameplay and mechanisms? Do I enjoy those rather than looking at the deck building straight out of the gate?
Right.
I've since bought more and more content for the game, and you know I'm just enjoying it more and more, adding in that deck building element to it.
Cool.
I like the double layer deck building. Like you build a deck, and then as you progress through a story, you'll gain experience, which you can upgrade your deck.
Right.
So I like that there's kind of that 2-layer to it as well.
I see that was another thing that kind of struck me as poor design. I don't know, not poor design, but the fact that you're upgrading with these experience points throughout the game, I never felt like that really changed my deck. You only have enough points to maybe buy 1 or 2 cards, or you're exchanging a card that you already have in your deck, and now all it does is you get 1 extra point, or you draw a card when you play it now. So it didn't add that much that I felt like I was changing my deck and it was constantly evolving. It was just the same old deck. I might not even see those new cards in the next scenario that I played.
And the other thing too is you're doing this over maybe a campaign like the new one came in. It is an 8 campaign.
Sure,
you can even throw in standalone campaigns, which could give you even more experience. So sure, scenario to scenario, you're not going to see. It's not like, oh, I started off I was a fighter, and then all of a sudden I'm a lore person.
Right.
Like it's all those small efficiencies that you're adding to your deck that you're like, oh sweet, now I'll be able to do this a little bit better, a little bit more efficient. I mean, a game. The other thing, too, starting off with a game like this that's going to be a living card game that's going to go on for years, you can't put cards that break the game in the core set.
Right.
Right? Like that, they'd just be
I
like...
don't think they should do that in any game at all, period.
Yeah, like you can't have like, oh, this card is so overpowered, I'll never want to use this in any other... I'll always want to use this in every possible situation. Right. It's all about small efficiencies here and there.
Cool.
So that was my number 6, Arkham Horror, the card game.
Awesome. All right, for my 5th honorable mention, it's Vinhos Deluxe Edition.
Okay.
Now, this is a game that I need to preface. I've only played this one time, and it was a while back, but I remember really enjoying that first play. I felt like the theme oozed out of this game. I'm a little bit of a wine aficionado, so I really liked that theme, and I was drawn in by all the different actions and going out to the gardens and gathering these grapes, and then you're putting the grapes in and you're letting them ferment over time and they're growing. Do you go with one different really powerful wine, or are you going to go with a whole bunch of little crappy ones?
Just selling cheap wine everywhere.
Right, and then you're going out to that fair and you're like hiring these different people that are going to help your wines and stuff like that. It was very interesting, very thematic. Had a lot of fun playing this game. We'll see if through subsequent plays, if it stays as a highly rated game for me.
If history has told me anything, it's that the more you play a game, the more you dislike it.
That seems to be the case, yeah.
And the more you play games, the more you dislike games in general.
That's right.
It's kind of the usual trend that we see here.
Right.
So on to my number 5. Now, this is a game that you haven't had a chance to play.
Okay.
This is... Well, it's the epic strategy game.
Okay.
It says it right on the box.
Okay.
It's The Colonists.
Right.
Now, I'm going to start by saying I don't know, number one, why anyone would play it at 4 players.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I don't want to play a 8 or 12-hour game either. I played it 2-player. I got my plays down playing a full 4-hour game in like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I'm getting a lot of content, a lot of decisions and actions in a 2.5 hour game. I like the sense of I start out with basically nothing. I just got a couple farmers, and then we're off to the races, and we're building up this huge colony, this huge community.
Right.
I also like how the game kind of parcels out the actions. You start off with only like 8 actions available in the middle, but then so you get to know those, and then each round 3 more actions are added to this main board. So it's not like overwhelming at the beginning.
Sure.
Just it does a lot of stuff that I really enjoy. I really like at the end of a game looking down and saying, this is what I created this game. Regardless if I won or not, this is what I created.
Very cool. Yeah, this is a game I haven't played. It's a game I really want to try. I'm eager to try it. The issue here is that I generally don't like it when games go beyond 2 hours. Right. And this is like a 2.5 hour if you're really quick at 2 players.
And you are not very quick.
Well, potentially. It depends on the game. But yeah, I generally do suffer from AP, so I'm thinking my first play of this, full 4 era, is probably going at least 4 hours. Right? And that's a bit long. I'd have to break that up. But I am eager to try this game. It does look very interesting.
All right, that was my number 5, The Colonists.
Cool. My number 3 honorable mention is another game that I've only played one time, and that is Lorenzo il Magnifico.
Right.
And this is a game that is done by some designers that I really like. And that first play, I just loved everything that was happening in the game. I loved the interaction, the blocking. I felt like I had some really interesting choices. I was building an engine. I like building engines and trying to be as efficient as possible. So many cool things. But it's a game that I've only played once, so I didn't feel comfortable putting it on my top 10.
Now, this one I've played 3 times.
Right.
I did a review for this one, and then I sold it to you.
That's right, yeah.
I didn't want to play it anymore. The game is it's so cutthroat in the worker placement. It's just like, just let me do something, please, in this game. And then it has this whole faith track, which it just feels like it's just hitting you for no reason.
Yeah.
You have to take like 50% of your actions to move up on this faith track just to not get something negative happen to you.
Yeah.
Which, again, that first play that we did, I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. But then after more and more plays, I was just like, okay, I'm sick of this. I want to be able to do something other than move up a faith track in a game.
Right. And see, those are 2 features, and this is why I actually bought the game off you, and I didn't say, okay, well, I'll steer away from it since you've given it a bad rating, or a lower rating, I should say, not a bad one. But those are things that interest me. Those are things that I like. I love a tough, punishing game. That interests me.
See, I love a tough, punishing game, but when it punishes you in the exact same way every time, it's boring.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we'll see with multiple plays. Maybe see. After 5 plays,
we'll revisit this list in a year, and you will have no honorable mentions and only 1 game on the list.
There you go. So Lorenzo il Magnifico.
So on to my number 4.
Mm-hmm.
This is Uwe Rosenberg's big box game for the year, A Feast for Odin. The thing I love the most about this game is it just feels like a puzzle, and I'm trying to not beat my opponents at the table. I'm trying to beat myself. Every game I can try and beat my high score from the previous game, and there's a bunch of different things that I can try and do, different strategies. But every time I sit down, I'm like, how can I do better than I did the last time? And because the game has the same length, the same number of actions, it's not like some games where it's variable. Where if I score 100 points in one game and 200 in the next, well, it doesn't really mean I did better in the 200-point game. The game just went longer.
That's right.
This is like a puzzle challenge every time I play it, and then sometimes I just do so horrible. I was like, oh, I got half the points I did last game. What did I do wrong here?
Right.
But yeah, I really, really like the game.
Yeah. Me, not so much. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is my lowest rated game of 2016.
Wow.
Or in the bottom 5 anyways.
Okay.
And yeah, I did not enjoy this. The game boasts 61 unique actions. I feel like there's 2. There is get a resource and then use that resource to transform it into something else. And then you have a puzzle that isn't a puzzle and you just put something on a board.
Right.
That's, for me, that's the game.
I disagree.
And then that was it. I was like, there's no game here.
I disagree.
But yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Feast of Odin. My number 2 honorable mention is Blood of an Englishman.
Wow. This is a smaller game.
Yeah, this is a smaller game, and I actually have played this enough times, but I didn't feel like it was worthy of a top 10. And since I was doing all these honorable mentions, I feel like mentioning it here. This is number 12.
I imagine you having a party, and I'm going to have this party, but in order to get in, you need to have all these criteria, these qualifications. I'm just going to leave everyone standing outside the house because I'm only going to let one person in.
Yeah.
You'd be good at
that sounds like a good party to me.
Managing a bar or something like that.
So, Blood of an Englishman. You're playing 2 asymmetric sides. Each player it's a 2-player game. Jack is really quick. He's taking a bunch of small actions. The giant is doing these one really big, heavy actions. The interaction between the two is fun, and I just really enjoyed this game. Yeah. That's it.
There you go.
That's it. Blood of an Englishman.
That was your
number 12.
That was your second honorable mention?
That was, my number 2 honorable mention, so it's number 12 on the list.
Okay, into my top 3.
Okay.
These are some...
these are the big ones, the good ones.
These are the big games, the ones that I really, really enjoy.
Okay.
My number 3 is Inish. It's a dudes on the map style game, but it's very Euro in its mechanisms. There's no real randomness at all in the game. Everything feels very, very tactical. There's some negotiation and player interaction and like kind of talking with people at the table, but it doesn't go on forever. Like it's not like it just drags and it's like, okay, well, let's move this along. The card pool is very small, so you get to know very intimately what's possible in the game, and that means it just makes for even more tactical decision making. It's not like, oh, well, anything can happen. I have no clue what's even possible to happen in this game, so it just flows so smoothly. Games take about 45 minutes to play.
Nice, that's a good time.
And I get a good experience every time I play it.
Cool. I have nothing to say. I've never played this game. I've never even seen the game.
Wow.
I've seen the box on his shelf, and that's it.
Well, there you go.
So I know nothing about it.
My number 3, Inish.
There you go. My number 1 honorable mention. So this is number 11 on the list of my top 18, I guess. And this is Valley of the King Last Rites standalone expansion. Now, the Valley of the King is one of my highest rated games of all time. It's a deck builder that I think it's the best deck builder out there in my opinion. It does something that no other deck builders do, and it does deck building the best. And it's just awesome theme. It's an Egyptian theme. It makes a lot of sense, everything that's going on in the game, and it flows so well that I just love this game. Now, the reason why it's number 11 is because it's not really...
Why couldn't it get into the party?
Because technically, it's a standalone expansion, and it's the 3rd standalone expansion. It's not really a new game, but it's...
Okay.
I felt like I had to mention it because it's an awesome game.
There you go.
I needed to squeak that in under the door kind of thing.
Okay, my number 2. This is a game about herding cattle along the Great Western Trail.
Nice.
Which is called the Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
I fell in love with this game from the very first play, and even after playing it many, many, many times, I still wanted to come back to the game. Like, I'm still excited to get to the table, and I feel like it doesn't get old, even though I'm kind of doing the same sorts of things. I'm doing different twists on the same sorts of things.
Sure.
Again, like I was mentioning with A Feast for Odin, where I'm trying to like do a different strategy and trying to explore a different part of the game.
Right.
I try to do this in this game as well. I'm like, can I get to the end of the railroad track? Can I, get like, all these different cows? Can I put out like a level 10 building? Like there's challenges that exist in the game outside of just trying to win the game.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there's so many different challenges that you can just try to do. It's like, oh, I've never been able to do this. I would really like to do this in this game. And you shoot for it and you just miss and you're just like, next game, I got it.
But if I was Jacob, I would say there's really only one action in the game. You move your person along the trail and then you sell your cattle. So but I really enjoy Great Western Trail.
There you go. Great Western Trail. That's your number
2.
Number 2. Awesome. So now we're skipping past number 10 through 3. So these are all games I haven't played yet that are better than all those other games.
You don't even know what these games are.
I don't even know what they are. I don't know the names of them. I don't know what they're about.
I will bet you. I would place some money on it, and if I was a millionaire, I would give you $1 million to do this.
Every game?
To play every game from 2016, and I bet you would not add more than 2 games to your top 10 list.
Maybe.
I guarantee.
Well, when you become a millionaire, we'll find out. Okay. We'll get back to you guys about that. So my number 2 is City of Iron 2nd Edition. Now, this is a Ryan Lockett game. It's a bit of an older game, second edition that came out. He fixed a few minor things, just tweaks about the game. Again, this is one that's in my top 3 games of all time. Amazing. The best Ryan Lockett game out there, in my opinion. And yeah, that's all I think I need to say about it.
I didn't put this one on the list. I didn't even actually think of this one because I had played the original. So it kind of just didn't feel like a new game to me. But no, it's still a really good game.
It's an amazing game. And if you like Ryan Lockett games, but you've never played this one, this is one that you should look at. But then again, maybe not because it's so different from his other games.
It is very different from like the Above and Below, the Islebound games that he's coming in with recently. Yeah. But I still think it's his best.
Oh yeah, it's his best by far.
All right, number 1.
Number 1.
We both actually have a number 1.
We do. This is amazing.
My number 1 is Scythe.
Okay.
You had mentioned this. This made it onto your honorable mention.
It was on my honorable mention. It's number 17 on my top 20.
Well, the top 18.
Top 18.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about this game. I like so much better. I like the production. I like that although it is a race to get, say, 6 stars or to get points, I feel like I can do something different every game to get to that point. And I can mix and match the different things that I'm doing. Like, I really found that achievement sheet that came in there, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and not make any mechs this game. Sure. And win the game. I'm going to try and not recruit anybody. So even though I'm still trying to get to the same place, the way I'm mixing and matching the different strategies, it just makes it a puzzle every time I sit down trying to figure out how am I going to get my 6 stars and forcing myself to do different strategies. And you'll probably notice from the list that a lot of these games, I like trying to do better than what I did the previous game rather than just beating the other person at the table. I like a challenge and sitting down and trying to challenge myself with a game.
Right. I mean, there's so many cool features in that game. And I think I might even really like it if it was a set number of turns rather than a race.
Well, and there's an expansion coming that's going to change up. There'll be a variable endgame each time. So it's not always just the same endgame to get 6 stars to end the game. There'll be different things that you could be shooting for. So maybe adding that in would make it a bit better for you.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe have to try that.
All right, that's my number 1 game of 2016 is Scythe.
My number 1 game of 2016 is one we've already talked about just recently, and that is Great Western Trail.
But Jacob, there's only like 2 things that you do in that game.
2 fun things.
You move your guy and you'll discard cards and do stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
2 actions.
2 actions, that's it.
In a game with 62 action spaces, you think there's only 2 actions. But anyway.
62 actions that do the exact same thing.
No. You can say that about any game.
Great Western Trail. Jeffrey already talked about it, and all its great qualities. I mean,
that's why they call it Great Western Trail instead of just Western Trail.
I haven't really had a bad experience playing this game, and we were actually just talking about it recently, and I've been crushed in this game, like, so badly. Every single time we play, my score gets doubled, and I love it. I just have so much fun with the actions and building my engine and trying new things and new challenges. Such an entertaining game. It's gonna be high in my actual top 25 of all time as well.
Right.
So keep a lookout for that when we revisit that.
Yeah, I really like games where I can look down and say, this is what I did this game regardless if I won or lost.
Yep.
I like sitting down and after spending an hour and a half playing a game, feeling like I accomplished something and not just being like, oh, I won or oh, I didn't win.
Right.
You know, just something
as well
else
as
happening.
Analyzing what you did and trying to figure out, well, how could I have done better? What could I have changed? Maybe if I tried this. And you're constantly looking at the game saying, how can I be more efficient at what I was doing to do better at the game?
All right, well, that's our top 10. Well, my top 10 games of 2016 and Jacob's top 2 games of 2016. Again, I thought 8
honorable mentions.
I thought it was a really good year. Like, all these 10 games that I mentioned are just going to, I think, stay in my collection for a long time. Really like the year overall. No comment from Jacob.
Cool.
All right, if you guys like this video, go down and hit the like button, subscribe to your YouTube channel, do all those fun things.
In the description down below, there will also be a link to go to our website where we talk about games for 3 hours at a time.
And Jacob explains why he no longer likes board games.
Maybe at some point.
All right, see you guys next time.
Take care.